The first day of Electric Zoo has been officially canceled hours before it was set to start. Ended with chaos.
I was like, this is terrifying, and my dad
turned our city into a zoo.
Electric Zoo. Once hailed as one of the best music festivals in the world, it's now a thing that doesn't have a guaranteed future. The organizers are being smacked with lawsuits, they're being investigated by the government, and perhaps most importantly, they've left a permanent sore spot in the eyes of the general public.
What are your thoughts about going back next year if there is a festival next year?
absolutely not.
How did one of New York's most popular summer attractions go from this to the absolute train wreck it was this year? Let's go back a bit and set things up. The company Made Event introduced the world to Electric Zoo on Labor Day weekend 2009 on Randall's Island right across the river from uptown Manhattan. Ezoo was successful, pulling in 26,000 attendees year one, and it only got bigger from there. By 2012, over 110,000 people flocked from all over the world to see huge artists like David Guetta, Tiesto, and Skrillex. Every year it was held on Labor Day weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on Randall's Island, and outside of 2013 and 2014, when the last day of both years was shut down for reasons outside the organizers' control, generally Ezoo was viewed as successful. However, behind the scenes, Made Event wasn't super profitable, and in 2014 they were bought out by entertainment company SFX. SFX would introduce the iconic animal-themed stages that Ezoo would become known for in the late 2010s, which I am so sad I missed. This was 2015, Phoenix themed. Sick. Here's 2016, Snake main stage, and this was 2017. Holy shit. I don't even remember how main stage looked last year, and this year? We'll get to that. Ezoo continues to run until 2019, then the world stops because of COVID. The next Ezoo is in 2021, and at this point SFX isn't super profitable, and in 2022 the investors behind popular Brooklyn venue Avant Gardner purchased Made Event and Ezoo from SFX for $15 million. Are you with me so far? Most of it's not really important. What's important is the acquisition of Made Event in 2022 by Avant Gardner, because this meant that Ezoo was under new management for the first time in almost a decade, and it also marked the beginning of the end. But we'll get to that. We're gonna get to that, okay? What did people think of the acquisition? A lot of people I knew were excited. Why? Because Avant Gardner is one of the biggest club/concert venues in New York. Like I mentioned earlier, it's a venue in Brooklyn, but it's really three venues. The Brooklyn Mirage, which is the outdoor space and has the most history, the Great Hall, and King's Hall. It's one of the only venues able to host huge names in the techno/bass/EDM scene, so it is a huge part of New York City nightlife. Other people felt differently. I won't go to Avant Gardner anymore because everything they do screams money grab and not, we'd like to create an enjoyable experience for our patrons. Looks like I have a bigger roster of events to avoid now, so thanks for the tip. Remember this sentiment. And yes, it is true, Avant Gardner, which we'll call AG for short, is not without its problems. People have had issues with overcrowding to the point where there's no room to dance or even really move during shows, and the overcrowding is a product of overselling tickets, which leads to longer wait times in line. And I get it. I've personally experienced the overcrowding. The food and drink there is ridiculously overpriced. I've also heard stories about aggressive security. What's worse is that when you take a step back from AG, the venue, and look at the people behind it, it doesn't get much better. Billy Bildstein and Philip Wiedeker are the two Swiss men who started and opened AG back in 2017. At that point, they had already established themselves behind a brand called City Fox, where they hosted warehouse parties. They were known for such things as hosting an epic warehouse party in 2015 at an abandoned plastic factory in Greenpoint that was declared to be a site of toxic waste by the government. That party, by the way, was quickly shut down by the fire department, and a lot of people who paid $80 to $100 for a ticket and were waiting in line for who knows how long were forced to turn around and leave. However, our boys were hungry and rich enough to be persistent, and so they were able to open AG in 2017. Well, actually, they opened first in 2016, but then fumbled the bag immediately when they had 3 events shut down. One on opening day, where they tried to serve alcohol without a liquor license, and 2 more that were shut down by the fire department for safety violations. So, yeah, they don't talk about 2016. They opened AG in 2017. Look, I will say the 2015 stuff, it's not so cut and dry. They say they didn't know that the warehouse was a toxic waste site at the time. Same thing for the 2016 stuff. It's not so black and white. The point I'm trying to make is AG and the people behind it, not the cleanest reputation. And finally, that brings us back to Electric Zoo. Ezoo, specifically Ezoo last year and this year. last year first. So AG buys Ezoo in June of 2022. Fast forward to September 2022, Labor Day weekend, and we have the first Ezoo managed by AG. And it basically goes off without a hitch, I think. I was there all 3 days, and I mean, the venue wasn't amazing, but no complaints, really, it was fun. I saw Shaq, which was crazy because I'm a huge NBA fan. Some people didn't like it, citing unhappiness with the venue and long wait times for water, but to me, the music was good, the crowd was energetic. Generally, I feel like it was a successful festival. I've talked to people who went last year and came back this year, and I feel like that was the general sentiment, that it was good and fun enough to come back. We gotta move on now because last year's festival doesn't hold a candle to this year's Ezoo, which by all accounts was not a successful festival, and that is like, I don't even know how to express to you that that is the understatement of the year. What happened? Ezoo 2023 was set to take place once again on Labor Day weekend, September 1st, Friday, to September 3rd, Sunday. In typical Ezoo fashion, they had huge names lined up, some that have even broken into like mainstream pop culture. Everybody was hyped and everything was looking fine going into the weekend. The festival was gonna open at 1 p.m. on Friday like they always do. Then, on the day of, at 11:37 a.m., Ezoo posts on Twitter that the Friday show is canceled. Huh? Canceled? No, Friday, no, nothing. Dear Electric Zoo family, it is with a broken heart that we deeply regret to inform you that despite our tireless efforts and round-the-clock commitment, we have made the painful decision to cancel the first day of Electric Zoo. This year has presented unparalleled challenges for everyone. The global supply chain disruptions have impacted industries worldwide, and sadly, our beloved festival has not been immune. These unexpected delays have prevented us from completing the construction of the main stage in time for day one, blah blah blah. We will be providing a full refund for your Friday ticket. What the fuck? Ezoo is a huge event. It's one of the biggest music festivals in the country. People fly in from all over. People drive in for hours, sometimes 12 hours. So you're gonna tell all those people that the festival is canceled an hour and a half before it's set to begin.
So mind you, we had got everything ready. The girls had their outfit ready, which was so bad. I felt bad. These girls were looking so good, and like they put so much time in their outfits just to get canceled like an hour before, and it was horrible. I felt so bad for them too.
Some people drove or flew in last minute just to go directly to the festival.
So I'm from Colorado. I flew out, was standing in Grand Central Station and got the notification that the festival was canceled for Friday. I was already dressed, already in glitter, ready to go on my way. This has to be a joke. And I'm like screaming because I'm confused. Called my mom.
Thank God I had like a friend who lived close by whose house I could sleep at, because I couldn't imagine the people who like had to pay for like hotel rooms or travel expenses or things like that. I mean, I just had to pay for gas, but like I can't imagine traveling like across the country.
Also, a lot of people from out of town, a lot of them were coming only for Friday, not for all 3 days. So those people, their flights, their hotel, their entire Ezoo experience, totally, completely in the bin. The only good thing about Friday was some of the artists that were scheduled to perform ended up hosting impromptu pop-up performances in the city, like Bonnie and Clyde did one at the DL in Manhattan. Hell yeah. Also, the official after parties that were originally scheduled with the festival were still running. Here's one of my favorite artists at their after party show.
Oh God, it's so good.
Still not a great situation though, because those after parties were sold out weeks in advance. So if all you were planning to do Friday was Ezoo, sorry buddy. And that's about it for Friday. Surely Saturday would be better, if it was even gonna happen. Now, in the initial cancellation announcement, Ezoo says, on a brighter note, Saturday and Sunday are set to be truly magical. Starting at 1 p.m. on both days, we look forward to uniting with all of you to celebrate life and music. Okay, so it sounded like Saturday and Sunday were still on. But remember, they posted this at like 11 a.m. Friday. They were citing supply chain issues and not being able to finish the stages. If that's the case, you can't guarantee a Saturday opening on 11 a.m. Friday? Do you think we're stupid? Also, pictures were popping up on the news regarding the stages, and it looked... I mean, this is at 5:30 p.m. on Friday. Everyone was on their toes. People were posting videos, driving past the venue, hoping to see progress. There was news that it wasn't exactly supply chain issues either. Here's a quote from Billboard.com. Organizers behind the Electric Zoo Festival on Randall's Island in New York canceled the Friday, September 1st opening day because Department of Parks and Recreation officials would not issue the permits needed to stage the city's largest EDM festival. Promoters behind the event have confirmed with Billboard. Supply chain issues. Anyway, Saturday morning comes along, no confirmation from Ezoo on whether the day was still on. They haven't said anything since announcing Friday's cancellation. Why? Why not confirm with us? Why this radio silence? Is it because you guys are gonna screw up again? Let me hold my pessimism and talk about how we're all feeling on Saturday. It's like 9 a.m. Saturday morning. Again, a lot of people drive in. They're hours away, okay? They're just waiting for news. They're stressing out.
I remember waking up Saturday morning and like the first thing I was doing was just like checking everything across social media. I was on like SnapMap, I was on Reddit, I was like texting my friends, I was DMing people.
At 11 a.m., 2 hours before the scheduled 1 p.m. open time, still nothing. Some people at this point bite the bullet and head over. Other people are still holding their breath. Victor, who you saw previously, decides he's just not gonna go.
Basically, when that happened on Friday, it kind of tear us down. Like, it just kind of like just killed the whole vibe for the week. We just didn't end up going Saturday because it was like 2 hours late. We didn't know what was going on. It was already canceled. And there were rumors too on the news that it was canceled totally for Saturday. So we weren't even sure what was going on. And mind you, we live far. We live like an hour and a half or two away. So it's...
Then, at 11:27 a.m., Ezoo posts this on Twitter. Ezoo is on! Oh wait, but it's delayed by 2 hours. 2 days in a row. 2 days in a row. By the way, the 2-hour delay was announced on Twitter at 11:27 a.m. Guess when the announcement, the same exact announcement by the way, was made on the official Ezoo app? 12:44 p.m. Let's move on. 3 p.m. is the new festival open time and people get there at 3 p.m. and what happens? People aren't allowed at main stage until 4:50 p.m. What is going on? How many performers at this point have been denied a chance to play? I don't really even want to talk about Saturday anymore, but there's so much more. Main stage opens around 4:50, which is around the time I get to the festival, and I head straight there, and it looks like shit.
They released pictures on their Instagram or the animations of what it was supposed to look like. The version we got looked nothing like what they were showing. You could tell everything was rushed. Everything was not quite what it was supposed to be for pretty much all the stages.
Plus, most of those screens don't even work for most of the day. Let's just keep going. So if you bought a ticket through the official Ezoo site and you live in the US, chances are you got your ticket mailed to you. The ticket looks like this. It's like a wristband kind of thing. However, if you're international or if you bought your ticket through a third party like a club promoter, or if you bought your ticket too late, or if there were any other issues with your ticket at all, chances are you were gonna have to pick that ticket up in person at will call. Some of you already know where I'm going with this. The will call line on Saturday was so bad. People were waiting up to 5 hours to get their ticket. Thousands of people in line. And why? Because a lot of those Friday ticket holders, they still wanted to experience the festival. And so they bought last minute tickets for Saturday. Those last minute tickets, by the way, sold for about 5 times their original price on the official Ezoo site.
Give us money.
Hours and hours of waiting in the summer sun. No water, no bathroom. Security was not letting people leave the line. People are pissing themselves because they can't leave to find a bathroom. Let me just run you through some anecdotes. 3 hours, gave up. I left after waiting 4 hours, took the bus right outside. My friend waited for 6 hours and had to bribe security to get to the front of the line. Didn't get her wristband until 10:30, so she didn't even bother going in. Anyone catch that 4-hour set last night? I think his name was William Call or something like that. It was such a good set that I ended up staying there and missing the entire festival. Only downside was people passing out and having to be carried out, probably due to lack of food and water for 4 to 5 hours, and others pissing where we stood. A++ set. I haven't even begun to talk about security. Oh boy. There was a video circulating of a security guard beating up a dude on the street as the crowd left Saturday. I can only show you the tail end of that video when someone tries to intervene. Now I will say I don't have the full context here, but not a good look. This is the same exact security company that AG uses at its Avant Gardner venues, which people have already complained about. It is a humongous mess. People are getting beat up by security. They're waiting 5-6 hours in will call. And Ezoo is posting pictures on Instagram of their beatbox drinks, which cost $22 a pop, by the way. I'll stop by if I get through will call by tomorrow morning. By the way, notice any familiar patterns? How about all of them? Let's move on to Sunday. Sunday, the doors finally open at 1 p.m.
I think that's Sunday. If I'm not mistaken, the gates opened at like 1:45. They ended up like still being late on opening it up by like 45 minutes.
And then, remember when I said that a lot of Friday ticket holders bought last minute tickets to Saturday and Sunday? When you just let people buy these tickets and the only thing on your mind is how much money you can make, there are gonna be consequences. Consequences like, I don't know, overselling your entire festival. At 6:35 p.m. on Sunday, the festival has been going on for about 5 hours, but there are still swarms and swarms of people waiting to get in. Not just at will call, which was again a shit show by the way, but just in general. And what happens at 6:35 p.m.? Ezoo releases a statement on Twitter. It is with deep regret that we need to inform you that due to the challenges caused by Friday cancellation, we have reached our venue's capacity earlier than anticipated for today, Sunday. For the safety and well-being of everyone on site, we will not be admitting any additional attendees today. If you are on your way or were planning to come later, we kindly ask that you refrain from coming to the festival site.
Is this real life?
And then a few minutes later, this only applies if you are not on Randall's Island currently. What does that mean? What if I'm already on the bridge like 5 seconds away from crossing onto the island? Are you gonna send your understaffed security to the end of the line and be like, hey, where were you at the time of this tweet? You honestly, all you have to say is, we've shut down the exit onto the island from the bridge, and we've asked the police to start turning people away at the entrance to the bridge in Harlem.
Well, that was a waste of my life. Thank you.
And you know what else? Even the people that were already on the island, they were not even being let in. Nobody at this point is being let in. What? The whole situation is just so fucked, and the crowd knows it. And they start to lose it.
12 seconds later.
I mean, what can I say? I don't even know what to say. someone could have gotten really hurt. Some people, it looks like, did get really hurt. People were angry, fights could have broken out. Look at this clip. Someone throws a stray water bottle through the crowd. That could have easily started a fight. Someone in that crowd could have brought a weapon in. I mean, it's unlikely, but who knows? It is insane.
It's okay. We're just traumatized. Like,
this is my first day on the job. How do you think I feel?
Dude, holy fucking shit. Connor, look at this. Oh my god. Sobbing. Oh my god, that was so scary. I was like, can you please let me go? And I like, no, and I was like, you need to fucking let me go.
I was standing near that gate, and I just got this stampede of people, and I feel like I got caught in that stampede because people were just running and rushing, and I was like, what happened? What's happening behind me? I got behind a tree because I was like, am I going to get stuck in like a stamp? Like, how bad is this going to get? And I was like, okay, I can get out of this sort of area.
They all ran to avoid security, and in the process of running, that's when we found out everything was going on, because there was a lot of people and it just ran everywhere.
Do you feel in danger, or how are you feeling?
I didn't feel in danger because rave is usually good positivity people. Like, everybody loves one another. People were just, I understand their point of view. I really do. These people paid, you know, and to get shut down at the door after they drove. People were traveling. I heard there were engagements going on, proposals. So imagine flying in and then getting canceled at the door. You
could start to see the crowd start to like dense up, especially like towards the middle and front of the stage. It was really like unsafely packed, if you know what I mean. Like, it started to feel like, I don't know, like, it's weird to say, but like sardines.
Yeah. Walking back from the main stage, going to like the other 3 stages next to each other in the middle there, you look out and you're like, there's a mass of people behind us, but there's also now a ton of people in front of us. So then now there's this like bottleneck situation where it's like a sandwich of 2 massive groups trying to kind of like get through each other, because people are going here, people are going there. That was not safe. There's a palpable sense of, wait, what's going on?
On the plus side, after this crowd stampede, generally things go okay. Outside of the insanity that was leaving the island.
You'd stop for 10 minutes. You would go for 30 seconds, stop for 10 minutes, go for 30 seconds.
There was a couple fights in line for the ferry. Security was like running past us. At one point, me and my friend grabbed onto the security's back to be like, we're following through. Like, I'm terrified. I think there's a horrible fight. And all they would say is there's a fight. And I was in the line for the ferry, and they just made us all stand there. Like, no water. There was a girl that like puked on me. There's no medics.
Oh my God.
Now, people will say that leaving the island is a disaster every year, but I don't know. Like, I don't remember it being that bad last year. I don't know. Who cares? I don't know. It's over. It's over. The weekend is over. Ezoo 2023, baby! And by the way, I left out a lot of smaller things. People were complaining about vendors selecting a tip for themselves before like flipping the screen back to you. But the 2 most common of the lesser complaints,
our major gripe with Ezoo the last couple of years has been the sound bleed issue.
The stages, they were touching back to back. Your left ear was listening to dubstep, your right ear was listening to drum and bass.
Like, I remember Ezoo in like 2013, 2014, 2015. The stages were configured in such a way where there was virtually no sound bleed. They actually had like a big top circus kind of tent. The heavy tarp of the tent muffled the sound, and you could go seamlessly from one to the other, from one of the areas to the other, and not get into like this area where it's like, oh my God, it's crazy bass here, it's crazy bass coming over here. In the last couple of years, it's been like they haven't done anything really to fix it, which is kind of like, it's like sour, it's a sour taste in our mouths.
Like, I did hear some rumblings about the Mega Mirage stage smelling like poop, and it actually did. It was so awful. So it was so bad.
Whatever. The biggest headline after festival weekend, chargebacks.
Let's move on to this other popular topic, which is the refunds, right? So I don't think anyone has gotten official refunds.
Everyone and their mother has been calling their bank trying to get a chargeback for the weekend, asking their bank to refund their money because they didn't get what they paid for. And the results are mixed. Some people are successful, some are not. Ezoo disputes some of these charges. Yeah, so they've said nothing to the public in 2 months. But they're disputing chargebacks behind the scenes? No, Bank of America, we don't know why Sally wants you to give her money back. Don't do that. Don't do it. Ew. Other headlines post-festival. Mayor Eric Adams has said that New York City will take action against Avant Gardner.
You had thousands of people who were not allowed to enter the location because of over ticket sales. It's unfortunate that the organizers wanted to turn our city into a zoo, and we was not going to allow that to happen, and we will be dealing with them in the next few days.
What that's going to look like, we don't know as of right now. In addition to that, class action lawsuits, multiple, have been filed against Avant Gardner and Ezoo. I spoke to one of the lawyers and she said that the complaints that are filed against Ezoo are public. So if you want to take a look at those, I'll put them down in the description. But apart from all of that, the most important question on my mind is, if there is an Ezoo in 2024, how do people feel about going back?
I don't know if there's going to be a show next year, but if there was, would you go Ezoo next year?
I doubt it, to be honest. It was, if it's run by the same people. Actually, no. But no.
Absolutely not.
It left a very sour taste in my mouth.
I'm leaning towards no.
I wouldn't go back. I wouldn't give my money to that festival again.
Avant Gardner like kind of blew it, if I'm being honest with you. Like artists from like the first day didn't get to like, you know, perform their sets, and just like the way that people were treated, getting refunds, they've been getting a lot of like runarounds. So I don't know. It's honestly very sour.
We're not bougie. We're not like, oh, well, they didn't have White Claws this year, so we're not. No, we don't care about none of that. It's like if the music's good, we will endure Randall's Island and how annoying it is to get on. But of course, once you start kind of making bad decisions and letting all these production problems start happening, it's sad, but we're gonna move on.
And I feel the same way. And I'm gonna end the video by talking about this because it's important. Yes, a lot of people are angry. A lot of people are boycotting AG and the future shows at Avant Gardner. But a lot of people are also saying it's pointless, and I kind of agree. Again, AG is one of the biggest venues in the city, and it's hard to just boycott them.
The kind of artists that they hire, by and large, are some of the best music you're going to see in the EDM scene. You got a lot of like dubstep and trap, house music, and trancey. Techno is very big this year, and you kind of get some of the premier and marquee names in the market, and you know that attracts a lot of people.
Sometimes you want to see the big names, right? At least for me. So, I don't know. Let me know what you think. I need you to understand something, guys. Despite all the people that were screwed over this year, there is a subset of people that went and had a good time. They didn't have to wait in will call. They didn't get beat up by security. And they're going to come back. People in general, they're going to consume. They're going to consume. They're going to forget. They're going to spend hundreds of dollars at these festivals on crappy food alone. This guy spent almost $100 on water.
I prefer really not to speak. If I speak, I am in big trouble.
I think I'm gonna leave it at that. I hope you found this video interesting. If you liked it, please drop a like on the video. Big shout out to everyone who hopped on this video for an interview. I will link some of their socials down below. See you next time. Thanks again. Bye.